This is Real Race Talk from Texas. It's the Revved Up Sports Show. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
Off and rolling once again on your Monday. Hashtag Real Race Talk Monday. Fun day, as they say. Never really understood why that was the phrase. This is the Revved Up Sports Show coming to you hot and heavy from Texas. Bobby Chaffee down south, Rodney Rodriguez up north. Big program tonight. Coming up at 7 o'clock, we'll talk to Jared Maupin. 7:30, we will have Gina Shile-Knowles jump in to give us an update on what's going on over in Houston for the weekend. Bobby, my man, triple digits, COVID-19, 2020, just a little bit of everything going on right now, man.
Yeah, just a little bit of everything. Got some stuff happening down here. Tried to mow the yard again today, but it got a little bit too hot. Plus, I had to get ready for the show. I had to be all nice and pretty for the show.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
another reason why I didn't mow the yard today. But I got some little honey-do lists to do after we get done here. So
yeah,
definitely the day is not done.
A very concerning day in the world of sports. Obviously, we're going to talk about the world of racing. We'll talk about NASCAR and local stuff. I mean, obviously more local. Saturday is when we'll talk about the NASCAR stuff and IndyCar and so forth and so on. But a very concerning day today if you're a college football fan. I think if you're a football fan at all, you're concerned because you're seeing stuff start to happen right now that I think a lot of people are surprised as to what is going on right now with the sports environment, the sports landscape. But I don't think this is really anything that is all too surprising given everything that we've been going through.
Yeah, I know it's definitely going to be one of those where everybody's going to be keeping an eye out. It's just a matter of time. The first domino actually fell when UConn decided that they weren't going to do any kind of fall sports. Then the next domino fell when the MAC decided they weren't going to do any football stuff this year. So it looks like it won't be long now. But my guess is it's either going to be the Pac-12 or the Big Ten. More likely the Pac-12 that's going to announce that they're not going to have any football, and that'll be the first nail in the coffin for the college football season.
Well, and I think the Big Ten. It was reported this morning. Multiple outlets pretty much saying that it seems like a done deal. I think the Pac-12 obviously would follow suit right there with all of that, and then you get to who's going to be the renegade. I mean, I saw somebody tweet today where it does seem like more often than not that and this is a true statement. I mean, this may hurt some feelings, but it seems like a lot of times the academics take a second seat there to the sports in the SEC. I mean, SEC is football country right there. I mean, obviously they should be. They're really, really good at it. So I don't know. It remains to be seen what's going to happen there. You'll have to factor in the Big 12. I saw a really cool tweet that came out from a Texas football tweeting service where it said, "Let's just have our own Texas conference," and it had every school in Texas in either the north or south, and you've got some of the majors, and then you got some of the smalls. They're all bunched together, but at least you'd have football. But it's a very trying time, and with football, the sport that it is, it's absolutely very tough to think that it's conceivable to play it.
Well, they're definitely going to play NFL football. That much we know.
Oh, yeah.
NFL, even if it's without fans, the NFL will have their games. I think the biggest aspect of the college game is that they are student athletes first versus just athletes. They're not professional athletes. So I think that's where the determination becomes a difference between whether or not you play college football or you play NFL football. So clearly, if you look at the way everything's going to shake out, then hopefully, I want to see some college football, but I also don't want to see any of the student athletes put themselves at risk either.
Yeah, it's much easier in the professional ranks there. I mean, those guys. I mean, owners can write checks to do stuff, and to be able to do the testing and everything that's going to need to happen here in the college ranks. It's It's going to be hard, man, and trying to control. I mean, we're talking about pro athletes that are slipping out of the bubble and doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing. I mean, imagine that you tell 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that you can't hang out and have parties and all this stuff. It's going to be hard getting them back to college. I mean, we're taking one on Saturday, and it's going to be hard enough to police that. But when you get the athletes, it's going to be even harder.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, the athletes, say what you will, the athletes are used to getting treated a specific way, right? That's why they end up having the student success centers right outside all the academic building, all the athletic buildings, right, with all the tutoring and stuff like that. There's a reason why they have a general studies degree that most of the athletes take. So it will be interesting to see exactly how everything shakes out. Although, I mean, you and I are both college football fans. We both enjoy the game, like the speed of it and everything else. But hopefully, I mean, I don't know. Everybody's got a different opinion on this whole COVID-19. It's starting to see. If you notice, Rodney, even though we try not to get into the aspects of the COVID-19 stuff, have you starting to see the divide? There's those that really think it's there, and there's those that really think it's aren't. Like it's starting to be like a complete opposite. You don't really have a lot of people in the middle anymore. You got a lot of people that are scared to death of it, and then you got a bunch of people that just really don't care.
And I can tell you from going to racetracks, the racing fraternity doesn't care. It seems like, or doesn't think that it's a big deal, because it's that's something that we really need to hunker down on, race fans. And I'm talking to us here locally. Well, no, I'm talking to everybody. I don't care where they catch this at, because I'm watching stuff online. I'm going to places, and it's business as usual, man. It's acting as if everything has passed, and the unfortunate thing is that it still hasn't, and it's still a scary situation. And I know you can make comparisons to the flu and to everything else, but we still don't know what we're dealing with. It's a scary situation, and I think we just need to be a little bit better, a little more cognizant of what's going on.
I think so, but I also think that there's a way that the numbers are what the numbers are going to be, and everybody needs to look out for number one. They need to look out for themselves first.
Right.
Now, just because you decided that, just because someone decides that they don't want to wear a mask or they don't want to social distance, that's fine. But you need to be respectful of the people that have decided that they want to be social distant and want to wear the mask. Mm-hmm. I think that's part of it. I think you'd see more people wearing masks, except for the fact that at the local racing level, except for the fact that hardly no one's wearing them. So it's kind of one of those peer pressure things. If you don't see everybody else wearing masks, then you're probably not going to put one on either.
Yeah, that really does seem to be the case. And I mean, what I've found out on those race dates, I mean, every track that I go to, or since all of this started, I will put one in my pocket, and if I feel if somebody looks uneasy, that's a nice thing about what we do. We're by ourselves, for the most part. But you get out in the crowd and people walk up, and that's where. I don't know. At times, I'm like, man, it's weird. It's never been weird before. But, I do see people that I was talking to a gentleman in Houston. I mean, I had to talk to one of the guys from the flyover at the Houston race back on the first, and I walked down, and he had a mask on. So, I reached down and put mine on. I mean, it's just common courtesy to... there's no need to bitch back and forth about what's right and what's wrong, because we all have different ideas, whether it be political, whether it be, even with the sports thing. If we're stuck with the NFL thing, I've never gone to watch sports, whether it be racing, football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is. I never go to watch any of that for my politics. If I want to consume politics, I'll turn on all these other Mickey Mouse channels. But we have to respect each other's opinions. It's not that bad of a thing.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, everybody has their opinion, and they're entitled to it. And depending on how everything shakes out, I mean, we've seen it both ways. I keep my mask in my pocket when I was up at Houston again, and although it's kind of weird in Houston, have you noticed? To me, Houston does it differently than they do here in Austin.
It's muggy.
Well, it's muggy, but those people have their mask on the second they get out of their car. Like around here, most people start putting their mask on. They start getting closer and closer to the front door.
Yeah.
But man, when people in Houston, when they get out of them cars, they put that mask straight on.
Yeah, we stopped the last race when Tracy went with me. We stopped at a restaurant. We hadn't eaten out a lot, but we stopped. We found one, and we went cruising up in there. And I mean, it was like, you had to, because there were exactly what you're saying. I mean, people were walking in, and granted, this was more at that point. This was 10 in the morning, whatever it was. So there were older folks that were going in, and I think they're the ones that are more concerned with it. And obviously, they're more at risk than anyone else, but. this is just a very trying situation, and I do think that college and at some point high school football, and they're talking about the spring, but for the college athletes, it gets so hard for. I mean, in the spring, I mean, you're getting ready for the combine, you're getting ready for all of that stuff. Trevor Lawrence and all these guys are I mean, they just want to play. I can understand that, but NCAA needs a commissioner is the bottom line, because there's nobody that's really taking the bull by the balls here and doing, any sort of work that needs to be done.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Everything's done with the NCAA by committee. I imagine that local high school will probably end up doing whatever the Big 12 does. That's what my guess is. If the Big 12 says they're going to move to the fall, I would guess that the UIL here in Texas would probably follow suit.
Ooh.
If they say they're going to play, then maybe they're going to play. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Still haven't officially heard what UIL is going to do with football either.
Well, we've got we've got the 4As and 3As and all of they're doing conditioning. They're working out. The 6A will be later. I don't know if this truncated 10-game schedule is going to come to pass or whatever. I know, like Westwood, the team that I work, it's first game versus Lake Travis. You take on Lake Travis, and then you run your district schedule. So that's kind of the plan there. So I don't know, but we'll keep an eye on that and see what all may be happening. But I did see with the racing stuff, before we went on the air, I was checking out the old Facebooks there, and I did see that South Texas Speedway, coming off of a really great two-day show there. Great job by Stevie Whitaker and all those. They have officially posted that the limited late models are no longer a part of the 2020 schedule. So kind of waiting for the after effects of all of that.
I guess if nobody shows up, it's hard to keep them on the schedule, right?
Yeah, it is that situation where I actually did message there with Stevie a couple of times back and forth, asking if it was okay that we bring it up. I mean, I didn't want to bring stuff up and have a snowball effect on them that I don't want to cause any problems for anybody. But it's been the last 3 years they've been struggling with car count, and it's the same situation where I'm sure right now that the class has been eliminated, everybody's ready to race. We see that all the time.
Yeah, everybody's always ready to race. When the class is no longer there, right? You're getting 3 or 4 or 5 cars a night. It just can't sustain itself. We've seen that on multiple different tracks, multiple different times. Even seeing it a little bit locally too.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, it's one of those deals. Yeah, two-night show over there at South Texas. John, Wayne Wilson, Gilbert Perez are the winners in the E-Mods and the Bombers. They win both nights. That's got to be pretty cool. You race 2 nights and you win them both. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Limited late models on Friday. It's Landon Farquhar. Texas Sweet Tea. Texas Sweet Tea broke the streak there at South Texas. Goes to victory lane. How about that?
That was good to see Johnny Torres pop into victory lane. Gets the monkey off his back down there at South Texas. So now let's see if we can get him up to Cotton Bowl this weekend. I guess I-37's running this weekend too, aren't they, though?
Mm-hmm. Who is?
Isn't I-37 running this weekend?
Yeah. I think they are. Trent Beaver wins the Friday show. The limited late models talked about that. I guess Marcus Miklicek wins what will be the last limited late model show there. Brandon Gaither picks up a win in the factory stocks, and Joshua Sewell also breaks a little streak there at South Texas as he wins on Saturday. So hats off to the good folks at South Texas, man. Those guys, they do it right. And, man, 2 days show, man. Good stuff.
No, it's always a lot of good stuff. The last couple of 2-day shows they've had have been pretty entertaining on both days. So yeah, nice to see South Texas Speedway have another successful program.
And checking in there on the Facebooks, I see that's Will Arnold there. He's talking to Stevie and talking about bringing the street stocks back over there to South Texas possibly. Let me tell you something there about Will Arnold, man. That dude right there. The racing, there were some issues at Cotton Bowl on Saturday night. We had lights that quit, and you know how that goes, man. When you get a delay like that, it just kills everything, kills all the momentum. Show ran way late, but I mean, the track was superb. But it was just one thing after another. But Will Arnold, I'm here to tell you, Will Arnold and G.W. Egbert really did some good stuff on Saturday night that helped my demo tape. These guys, last lap passes, just great racing. Really, really good stuff. Good stuff at Cotton Bowl, other than the lights going out. Isn't that crazy? One little thing can cause the whole lighting thing to go in the shitter.
Well, that's usually how it works, right? It's probably the 25-cent part, the one that messed up the
Mm-hmm.
most. Um, it's usually the way it works. Remember back in the day when the lights would go out at a racetrack, get old Greg Davison up on a big ladder and he'd sit
Yeah.
there and fix the lights for everybody. I saw him do it at San Antonio once. I saw him do it at Longhorn once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hell, he probably did it at Kyle once or twice, I'm sure.
Yeah, I remember way back in the day. Again, showing my age here. Back in the the early '80s into the mid '80s, out at Austin, Mickey Tadlock used to be electrical guy, and he was a guy. No. I got my people confused. There was a guy named Steve that he would be the one that would come out and he'd work on the light towers periodically whenever it was needed. And I remember, and this is sad to say, but this is kind of the way we think in racing. Something happened to Steve. He passed away. I mean, I think he actually passed away on the job doing something electrical, which sucks because I've tried electrical one time, got shocked, and I'll never do it again. And Steve passed away, and I remember somebody vividly saying, shit, what if the lights go out? It's like, what about his family, for crying out loud? You know, it's like, let's worry about his family, not so much the racetrack. But that's kind of the way. That's kind of the way it works. It's all good right now, but good stuff. Really good stuff over the weekend. Southern Super Series, Bobby. Our man Stephen Nassy, who I was hoping that we could kind of link up with tonight, but he had some stuff going on. He wins over Connor Okrezik, and dude, what's up with Bubba Pollard? He leads 20 laps in that super late model race at Crisp, and then just breaks. It just breaks, and then he had last week. You know, last car in didn't qualify himself in, had to get in, you know, promoters options. Or King Bubba having a little bit of trouble right now. It's very uncommon.
Very uncommon. The wheels seem to be falling off that white number 26 Harrison's Ford late model there. So we'll see. Hopefully when they get a chance to rebound, everything will probably be lots better once he gets back to his home track there at Pensacola and gets everything rocking and rolling back in the right way. A good solid trip to Pensacola to take home $10,000 to $20,000. Usually is a good thing. Usually is a way that will make him get back in the groove, if you will.
Yeah, he'll be all right. I mean, he's probably working on stuff. That's really what I started thinking when I see the trouble that he's having. I'm like, okay, he's getting ready for the big stuff. So it's and that is coming up September 19th. He'll be back at it over at Five Flags. As we said, Okrezik second, Jake Garcia, Scotty Ellis, Hudson Halder round out the top five there at Crisp Motorsports Park in Georgia, the Georgia Nationals. Jonathan Finley, first-time winner in the Cars Tour, and the Cars Tour continues to amaze. And our man Jared Fryer, who we've talked to on this program, and we're lucky. We've talked to most of the Fryer family. Probably need to get Jared back on again. He finishes sixth there. That dude is just showing the mark of consistency right now. He's just keeping his nose clean, and he is at the top of the heap. And Jared Fryer is really showing his prowess right now in those pro late models.
Yeah, as Mark said, it kind of skips a generation that everybody says that Jared reminds themselves of Freddie.
Yeah,
and he does. He's got the consistency that he's gone and shown a lot over that he's developed. We saw when he first started there running with George Hagee there at Central Texas Speedway, where he just had the consistency, didn't try to overdrive the car, took the car for what it needed, and we've seen that as he's progressed up in the ranks with a super late model, now back in these late model stock cars.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have to like that right there, what he's doing, and that's what it's all about. I mean, because when we talk to Mark on here, you know, they don't have all these hundreds of millions of thousands of dollars. I mean, they're working, late model stock cars. Thank you, Shane. They are working on their budget, and their budget's not the biggest one, and Freddie's never was. I mean, go back to Rev'dUpSportsShow.com and listen to the Freddie Fryer interview and think about that in today's terms with the stuff that Freddie talks about, and that's really what Jared and Mark and those guys are doing, and they're doing a really, really good job. Doing a really, really good job of staying consistent and doing what they need to do. Quickly to the weekend in the big ranks, Bobby, Kevin Harvick. I mean, it's Harvick and Hamlin, man. These dudes are cruising.
Yeah, definitely the top two. I thought we'd get a little bit more out of Keselowski. I think Keselowski was the second fastest car behind Harvick, but got in there, kind of stepped on it a little bit, and ended up taking out his teammates. So I'm sure that was a fun meeting this morning there over at Team Penske. But, I mean, you know, Ryan Blaney had speed again. He just doesn't seem to have the luck. That's for damn sure.
Well, and you see the professionalism of Brad. I mean, they talk with him, and I mean, he he put the yellow card up. I mean, it was totally on him. I mean, he put the blame on himself, and I mean, there's not anything there where he's placing blame on Blaney or anything. I mean, he's taking it. So you have to admire that, and I mean that's what a professional guy is, and that dude right there, that's another one. You know, we thought maybe we had our big four, and I'm not sure Truex is a part of that right now, but you got to factor in Keselowski. He's just too damn good.
Yeah, I mean, he's the next one of the, like, this, second in class, if you will, with Harvick and Hamlin taking off and dominating all the races. Then the next, it looks like Keselowski has positioned himself to be there. I'm not sure I've seen the consistency there in Truex to put him in there at a solid number 4. There's a handful of guys, about 3 or 4 guys that can sit there in the 4th position. All it's going to take is a surprise winner to shake up the big 3 and me when it comes down to Phoenix.
Yeah, no doubt. Really want to ask a lot of the folks that the teams that watch this and listen to it, or revvedupsportsshow@gmail.com if you catch it on the podcast at whatever point. But with the Almirola thing yesterday, where they speak in code, now everybody can listen to this stuff now. I mean, everybody hears the radios, they have the frequency, and I guess the hot dog was the code for, I don't remember what it was, 2 tires, 4 tires, whatever that was. So I want to know how many of our local teams speak in code. I mean, the ones with the spotters and all that, because that man, hell, you get out there and race, it's like, man, I can't remember the code word. I mean, the code word is go, but, if hot dog means go to the pits, hell, I can't remember any of that.
No, your word for hot dog would be pit for beer, right? And that would be your 4 tire. That'd be your 4 tire statement right there.
Yeah, you want to give me in the pits.
Come for the beer, yeah.
Yeah, you want to give me in the pits, say Natty Light, and my ass will speed down pit road, but I don't know. I'd like to see what our local people do when it comes to all of that, because the spotter is extremely important. I mean, you listen to some folks and they say the spotter drives the car.
In some cases, they do. Hey, did you see the news? Do we have the breaking news, or was it not really breaking news?
Stand by. Here we go. It's always ready.
It's always ready. Yeah, Christopher Bell officially announced today that he's going to go in the 20. Shocker. Wow. Totally shocker. But one thing that they did add that was slightly interesting today is all we've been seeing is that Bob Levine was selling the team, and that the team was going to exist next year under different ownership. Now we're hearing that he just sold the charter. Yeah.
And that raises a lot of questions. And I mean, obviously, one of the beer is Sunoco. Nice, my man Butch Havelka. By the way, Butch, congratulations, buddy. Did we talk about that last week? Butch is taking the plunge. Did you see that? Butch is getting married.
We talk about it at Houston. I don't think we talked about it over here.
Yeah, congratulations to my man Butch Havelka there, the guy that saved my racing career. He gonna take the plunge with the lovely Lisa. That is awesome. Congratulations there to 2 of the best people that I know. But what are we talking about?
Christopher Bell.
Oh, Christopher Bell. Yeah. That was the worst kept secret. I mean, I think even Eric Jones knew as soon as what's his name went to Levine. I think he knew that he'd be in the 20.
Yeah. All it was is a matter of time and contracts.
And you know what sucks about that? I mean, because Eric Jones is good wheelman. What is he, like 24, 25 years old? And yeah, I mean, and that's where could they flip? I mean, I don't know. You mentioned there about the charter. We thought we saw something last week. We didn't report it because I wasn't sure if it was sure or not. And we're not one to gossip around here. We're not like ladies or people at the supermarket. Sorry about that. But we thought that maybe Kyle Larson had bought the Levine. Kyle Larson Racing had bought the Levine team, but that I guess that's not what happens there. But I don't know. There's got to be a place for Eric Jones. I mean, because hell, he was the next great thing, and you have to remember Logano. Logano got booted out of the 20, and look what he's doing. 1 championship and 20 plus races later, he's like the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, back like he was supposed to be. So I don't think it's a surprise. The interesting part pops up with Bubba Wallace talking about him already having an ownership stake in RPM. Yeah. Then he also says that he's got an offer from Chip Ganassi. Took that with a grain of salt. But now the other rumor that's just not going away is the one that Hendrick Motorsports is going to downsize. I don't know if this Eric Jones getting released from getting released from Joe Gibbs Racing is going to have an effect on that if he's going to be a factor to get into that 48 car.
Yeah.
But that's just one rumor that's not going away, that Hendrick's going to downsize.
Yeah, I don't know if that changes things, but I mean, Eric Jones, that's a good shoe. I mean, honestly, Bobby, I think if I were going to keep that 48 team, if I were going to keep that thing a boot or keep 4 teams, I don't know how they're going to change the numbers around, but I would seriously consider Matt DiBenedetto. That dude is good. He's good.
He's definitely shown what he has. I'm surprised they haven't announced that a contract extension yet either with the Wood brothers. He seems to have actually found himself in a really good spot with that team and the sponsor backing from Menards and from Ford Factory and stuff like that. So I'm kind of surprised they haven't announced that.
Yeah, we'll follow all that, and I mean, if you want to consume a lot of that, we're trying to do that on the Saturday show. We're trying to be respectful of people's feelings, but y'all need to get over that. We'll talk with Gina here at 7:30 coming up, but let's not worry about 7:30 right now. Let's worry about 7 o'clock. Going to the Revved Up Sports Show hotline, and we are talking to so many hot shoes in the area. And when I mean area, I mean the whole state of Texas. And we've got one right here, driver of the BD2 and the BD1. It is Jared Moppin. Jared, how are you, brother?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. How's everything going for you guys? We always like to ask about guys and their families and everybody through all of this, whatever you want to call it. Everybody good? I guess it's down your way.
Yeah, down here, I mean, the case has been pretty heavy, but luckily family's good. Everything's going smooth.
Absolutely. Perfect.
All right, well, Jared, thanks for the time. Thanks for joining the show this evening. Before we get fired up with some of the in-depth questions, let's do some of the people that may be up further north that aren't as familiar with your racing career. Talk about how you got to where you are and the different family aspects that you have in racing.
We grew up, racing down here in McAllen. I followed my dad's footsteps and followed him to Corpus. And it's funny, going to college, I had to quit for a while. And I believe my junior year, 3 years ago, Marcus McElchuk, a buddy of mine, gave me a call and said, "Hey, man named Skip Gray up here needs a driver. Are you in?" And I dropped my stuff and I went straight to Edna. And from then on, been in Skip Gray's race cars, thankfully.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I got to ask you, Jared. I mean, I know you're young. You're in your early 20s, and I'm getting close to 50, to very close. I remember back. I mean, talking about McAllen and the Weslaco area, everything down there. The days of the Miller Nationals. I mean, I remember we would pull down, or not pull down. We would drive down to watch those. And I live, in the Austin area, and let's talk about your dad. I mean, I always remember seeing Bobby Moppin. That was always a name that would pop up, a contender. Talk about that. Just such a great driver there himself.
Yeah, it's awesome to have my dad to follow. I mean, for so long I watched him here at McAllen. He was always, my idol, my hero. So it was always great going to those nationals and watching what he had to compete with, with all these big names like Jason Hughes and Lawrence McElchuk and Eddie Martin, all these big names. So them coming down to McAllen and just, down the street from me was awesome to be able to see all these awesome guys and Dad giving it a shot.
Nice.
Yeah, that Rio Grande Speedway down there was one of a kind. It was a cool little bull ring. It sure was. But so as we move up in here, so talk about how your life changed when you started getting into these BD1 cars. Was it one of those where you just ended up kind of the right place at the right time and everything still is as good as the first day, or is it something that you still work with all the time?
It just happened to work out perfectly. That phone call was so random. Marcus just gave me a random call and I had time, so I grabbed my stuff, my suit, my helmet, and got on the road. I got lucky to actually win a heat race that night, and nice. I really think that got my foot in the door to secure this ride. But thankfully, Skip lets me and Dad really work on the car and get me comfortable, and I think that's what's given us the most success, being able to feel comfortable in the car and really learn how to drive it. So I can't thank Skip enough for what he does for us and, with his race cars and all his equipment.
Yeah. How cool is it, Jared? I mean, we've talked to Ben on this show. I mean, we've talked to so many I mean, you guys, and I kind of affiliate. I take Corpus. I take the coastal, everything below where we're at here. I mean, you guys, there yourself obviously included. So many great second generation guys that continue. I mean, we talked about your dad. We see these last names, and you see Miklicek, and you see these names that just keep going on and on and on, and winning races, and Triton Temple, and all these dudes. How cool is it that you guys, y'all float under the radar, but man, y'all are some of the best damn racers in this state.
That's a really good point. You got a lot of these big names, Marcus, you can't forget Cody Leonard.
Yeah.
And these guys, I actually had Ben Miklicek as my teammate on Friday, so that was really cool to get to interact with him and get his input on the cars and stuff. But it's tough because we're younger, but the big names we race against every weekend, Johnny Torres, Stevie Whitaker, Lawrence,
right.
Edward Oaks. So we're having to stay on top of the game because we got these older guys that have been around and they know what they're doing. So it just makes us even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So does it become a weird feeling? I know that one of the things, like when I started racing, when I was in the same team and same pit area as the guys that I grew up with, like when I grew up watching Storm and Steve Sims in Austin and Terry Scherner and some of those guys, now that you're racing against them, does it change? Is it more surreal, or does it change the way that you operate because you don't want to end up popping one of those guys since they were your heroes watching growing up?
Yeah, that's a tricky situation because always from the stands or in Dad's pit, kind of like, that's Lawrence, and luckily we grew up around Lawrence, so
yeah,
it wasn't so tough being around him. But like Stevie and these bigger names. At first it was like, man, I get to talk to these guys now and interact with them, but get to show that I'm here for the real deal and earn their trust is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And actually, me and Stevie got together on Friday. It was 100% my fault, and I was like, oh man, I just wrecked Stevie. I feel so bad. So I went and told him, dude. I mean, out of all people, I'm so sorry. I did not mean that, for that to happen. So, you kind of get both sides of it. You want to be cool with them, and because you looked up to them forever, and also just run them with the most respect you can.
Yeah.
So it's kind of both sides, two-edged sword.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I know exactly what y'all are saying there. I mean, way back in my days as a young whippersnapper, I wrecked a guy that I grew up watching that I respected. That was one of my, just one of my favorites, and I went and apologized. I'm like, sir, it's kind of one of those things. So really, really good stuff there. Got to ask you before we go any further, being that you're down there, and we were talking about Rio Grande, what the nostalgia in me, I want to do this thing like Junior does where he goes to all the old tracks. How does that place look right now? You have any idea?
I believe my brother Dustin, he actually went out there, I think it was 2 years ago, just to kind of get an example of what it looked like, and you could hardly see the track anymore. I mean, it was just covered in brush and small trees. The stands were pretty much gone, so it's pretty much a lost cause.
Well,
sadly.
Yeah. There's another one I can't reopen.
Yeah.
Take more than the lottery to open them all.
Some awesome track conditions,
It did. That was a great place. Great place.
So Jared, let's talk about your racing now. Let's talk about the seems like you've been having a fairly decent season the last even a season and a half. So talk about where you are with your program here with the modifieds.
With the modified, I believe this is our 5th race in the mod, and last year getting to see the class, it seems like it's growing a little bit. IMCA mods seem like they're making a little bit of a comeback.
Nice.
With I-37 having them in Edna. So Skip was curious, and so was I, and we luckily got the chance to drive one. And we've been easing our way towards the front and having some luck, but this modified's a different animal compared to these sport mods. And I think we've started to hit on some points. You have to quick because you got Cody Leonard out there every weekend, and Chris Carroll, guys like that you really got to be on top of your game. So luckily we've been able to play around with spring shocks, etc. and find out what the car likes and what fits my driving style. So we've been moving forward slowly.
Yeah, well, Jared is saying this. I mean, he's being very humble and doing I mean, I love what he's saying, but I mean, you've already parked the modified in Victory Lane, though, haven't you? So, I mean, you park them both in Victory Lane the same night. That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, last race at Edna, we picked up both twins, which it's awesome that happens. I got an awesome crew behind me. I got Dad giving me input all the time, so it's nice to be able to have people out there watching the car and getting some feedback to make a decision on both cars, especially. And we just hit that modified just right that night, and the car it almost drove itself.
Nice. It's a good thing.
So is there one that you prefer one over the other, or is it just when I'm in that car, that's my favorite car because I want to go to the front and I want to win?
It's funny you say that. The sport mod was really fun to drive. It drove so good, but it's funny. I play a lot of iRacing, so it's almost surreal being in a modified. Yeah. And you could go from a game to the actual deal. And I prefer the modified. The modified's a lot tougher to drive, but they're so much faster and they're a lot of fun because you really got to hit your spots, and there's so much more adjustments in the pits. So it's all around, I think, a funner car to drive.
Yeah. I was my announcing partner over at Cotton Bowl, Joe Spillman, who's driven these modifieds for some time. He talks about, and you can elaborate on this, like with the modifieds, you get them to rotate. I mean, you get them to rotate a little bit better, and that's really how you get that good drive through the corner and then, push right down the straightaway.
Yeah, these cars, they have so much rear steer right off the bat compared to these sport mods. You drive these sport mods real straight. And as soon as you get on into a modified, you realize you're looking almost outside the right side of the deck,
wow.
Towards the right front the entire time.
Damn.
So you have to get your mind used to being a little bit sideways, but the car is actually going straight.
Wow.
It looks like the car's dog-legged going down the straightaway, but you're going straight. So it's kind of just getting your mind ready for that automatic rear steer.
Yeah.
To help these cars, turn. But they got so much drive while going sideways. It's just really unbelievable.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So how much do you have to change your driving style from one car to the next? You talk about having to adjust it. Other than just getting a different eyes view of what's in front of you, what else do you have to change when you switch between these two cars?
I like to adjust the car to my driving style more than the other way around. So if I can be comfortable the way I drive, I feel like I have a more chance of going forward just because I'm in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So we're finding that these cars drive pretty similar. But at the same point, I believe that the modifieds help me drive the sport mod better because these modifieds, you really have to drive them. I mean, you're on the wheel the entire time. So it helps that sport mod drive a little more aggressive, but be comfortable at the same time.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Is there one, Jared? I mean, I talk to so many guys, out at the racetracks and talking about track prep. I mean, that's so important. I mean, they're so many of these race operators are so damn good at doing that. I mean, reading the dirt. I mean, I swear you should be a farmer. A farmer would be a great race, track prep guy to get this done. I hear guys talk about a dry slick versus a heavy, tacky, whatever. Is there one track that you prefer that works better for your style?
Oh, hands down, dry slick. Growing up down to McAllen, there was no hammer down in the later days.
Yeah.
It was always the slickest it could be. I mean, it was pretty much like driving on ice.
Nice.
And it was great because my dad did the track prep for most of my early years. So I made, 1,000 laps on the Ranger, just following him around while he's on the maintainer, getting to learn what the track, how the track prep works and how the track changes. But every week it was slick after slick after slick. So that's what automatically fit my driving style.
Right.
I say Edna because Edna's been real slick. Now Corpus was not my driving style whatsoever. So, Corpus is a lot more speed and you got a lot more traction. So I had to adjust dramatically to drive Corpus. And Edna just fits my driving style. I feel like me and Edna we work together a lot, coming from McAllen.
Yeah.
So I'd say hands down, dry slick.
No doubt. No doubt. Hear that a lot.
So let's talk about that little wonderful track there in Edna, Jared. It's Rodney finally got a chance to go down there that weekend that you were there, and I've been telling him
that he won.
Down there,
that he won.
He's going to want to go back.
Jared
That's right.
won. Jared won that weekend.
Won.
Yeah.
But talk about how cool of a little racetrack that is. Describe it for somebody that's never seen it.
My dad always called it the hot dog. I thought that was always funny because, you're on the throttle for so long, and then you got to really shut the car down and turn on a dime and get going again. I compare a lot to Cotton Bowl, just long straightaways versus Corpus, where you got, the straightaways they're not really straight.
No.
You always turn just a little bit. So it's got so much speed. And then you go to Edna and you're on the brakes hard every corner. So it's the hot dog. I'll call it that.
I like that. I need to get back over there and work one night, and I will definitely call it that. Let's talk.
Yeah,
I mean,
like you're my good luck, so you definitely need to get down there.
yeah, I need to get back down there. So I mean, Owen, you had to know when Owen takes that place over, and again, it's just so. I mean, I hate to see track sitting. That McAllen one, I mean, that sucks, and Goliad, I mean, and we got pavement ones everywhere. But you had to know when you get old Grizzly Owen Pittman in there, you had to know that you're going to be all right out there at Edna.
Oh, 100%. Owen did a great job in South Texas Speedway. Dad and I, we made the trip up there whenever McAllen wasn't racing because it was just, the next best track. So knowing Owen was going to run Edna, we knew we were going to be in good shape right off the bat. Track prep's going to be a little bit different. And he said over and over again how he's going to get this track prep figured out, which I believe him 100%. He puts on a good show. I got a 4-hour drive from home to Edna.
Wow.
And it's nice getting the show done quick so I can get home.
Mm-hmm.
So Owen does a great job. We love going to Edna.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's fun. That's right. Rodney does take tow money donations to try to get to different places when he talks about wanting to go somewhere. But in terms of Edna being the place to be, talk about your relationship with some of the different promoters. Is determining where you want to race, is that determined by the promoter for that place, or is it determined by purse? You got a kind of a ways to travel no matter which way you go to try to figure out where you're going to race. What's the main factor when you go to try to race somewhere?
Travel has a lot to do with it. Purse, we don't really, look at the purse so much. We want to go to a place that, where track prep's good, calls are made right.
Yeah.
A lot of clean driving, where some tracks have where guys get away with a little more than most, or, stuff gets unseen, stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So I'd say, promoting would be a lot of it, because you can have a nice track, but if it ain't being run right, then it takes the fun out of it,
Yeah.
And I think Stevie at Corpus has done an awesome job. We look forward to every time they race. Owen, being around Owen, growing up around Owen, and racing go-karts at Corpus, he knows what he's doing. He's on top of it. So, going back and forth every weekend between those two tracks just makes it easy to choose a racetrack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is definitely a long way. We went to South Padre about a month ago, and I'd forgotten how far it was down there where you are. So, yeah, absolutely. I would imagine that factors in. Got to ask you, these factory stocks are blowing up. I mean, you're seeing all these shows. The night that I was out there with you guys, there were 50 some odd in there. Is there any chance that we see you in one of these full-bodied factory stocks running around out there? As I see a lot of guys dipping their toe into this stuff. Hell, Lawrence won the night I was there. Any chance we see you doing that?
It's funny you say that, because the car that Lawrence won in the night is the car I drove in McAllen when I was 13 years old.
Are you serious?
So it's cool to see.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cool to see that car still winning, because that was my old car that Dad put together for me in McAllen.
Nice.
So that car does have a lot of wins in it. But actually, last year we picked up, I think, 4 wins in a factory stock.
Okay.
With Skip. Skip did own a factory stock. We actually sold that to move up to the modified. But I love these factory stocks. The full body cars they're so much fun to drive. They're a lot more forgiving, I'd say.
Yeah.
You got a little more room to make mistakes. You can rub up against somebody and be okay. But if I had opportunity to drive one, if someone threw one at me, I'd take it in a heartbeat. They're just so much fun to drive.
There you go, people. You got a hot shoe available. You got a man right here that's ready to jump in. I wondered when Lawrence, because I talked to you obviously, that when I talked to Lawrence after his race, when he said this old car, and I mean, you never know with guys, I mean, because you never know what kind of body they're going to hang on there, and they'll say old car, but it's an outlaw chassis. But when he said old car, I had no idea that he really meant old car.
Oh yeah, it's an old car, that's for sure. I think in 2012 is when we started getting the final touches on it, and I believe it was 2013. We put 15 nights on it in McAllen. Dad being savvy on the slick and just the slick being my style. I believe we won 13 races that year. So that car went to Caleb Hudgens, I believe, and he made a season on it, and then ended up in Lawrence's hands. So it's kind of cool to see it, follow that car and see it still be successful.
That's awesome.
But Lawrence can get in anything and win. So, don't say much about that car.
He went on a tricycle out there if he had to.
Right.
So what advice did you give Lawrence when he got in the car, right? Did you say, look, this is my old car, this is how you need to drive it, this is what you need to do to win? Or did you just let the old man be the old man and try to go out and win that night?
No, pretty much I told him, hey, this is what you need to do this, do this, do this. I pretty much set that car up.
Nice.
No, I'm just kidding. Lawrence knows what he's doing. No, Lawrence, he's on top of it. He knows exactly what he's doing. But it's funny. He told me, I think the first time he drove it, it still had the same rear springs and weight we had in it.
That's crazy.
And he said it went pretty good. And if he ever wins, they're gonna be scratching their head when they see those pigtail springs we pulled out of it. And
yeah.
So, but Lawrence, he's updated it to keep up with the times, and that's all him. Lawrence, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Jared, please, next time you give him advice, tell him to find some hair clippers or something. He got out of that car, and I'm like, whoa, what is this? Anyway, he actually mentioned that after the fact. This past weekend, South Texas, you don't go to Victory Lane, but it's a 2-day show there. You talked about Johnny Torres. He breaks the streak there. He wins at South Texas, but we're talking about Edna, but South Texas, man, it takes a lot to pull off a 2-day show, and that looked like a really, really good weekend out there at STS.
Yeah, a little disappointing on my side. We missed the setup on Friday on that hammer down track. Johnny was quick. Trent he was a rocket, and we settled for a third. Saturday night, track was about the same, but I started, I believe, 6th in a stacked heat, and I stepped on my toes on the last lap and choked a little bit. Ended up 6th, which put us starting, I believe it was 17th or 18th in the main. But we made some last-minute adjustments, and we're able to drive it up to 4th. So it was just a win on our side to be able to drive forward against the competition like that.
Yeah.
But it's tough to get around, Johnny Torres. Mason Castaneda was fast.
Yeah.
You got Cody Leonard in front of you. But just moving forward at Corpus is always a plus because Corpus has really got a stacked field.
They do.
And
really
always got to stay on top of your game to run up front.
For sure.
In Corpus.
No doubt.
Yeah, Mason was actually incredibly fast. That dude's getting better and better each time. Since you've been running so good, now you don't have to give away all your speed secrets. I totally get it. But who are some of the drivers now that come up to you? Do you try to mentor younger drivers, like the guys that are just getting into the class, or how far down do you go? Do you find the young kids in the go-karts? They come ask you questions about how to win and stuff like that?
I don't really talk to much kids. I feel like Ben being my teammate Friday, I don't think he needs much advice, but I kind of just give him my side of things. But Mason being in an express, I love to talk to Mason and get some input. Shane Aber is great about input. You got a question, he answers it immediately. So that says a lot about express race cars. But being friends in the pits, Johnny and Stevie, just, picking these guys' brains because you never stop learning. Now, these guys have been doing it for so long that you kind of just want to get input and talk things, talk ideas. But I say me and Marcus, Mike Maklicek, man, we call each other all the time, and
Nice.
like, what do you think about this? And just chit chat after work on the drive home. But I'd say the most thing is Dad. Talking to Dad.
Mm-hmm.
That never gets old. Times have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's the same compared to the old days on setup. So I believe me and him we're learning at the same pace.
Yep.
Every weekend learn something new and how things have changed. But I try to give advice to anybody. I'd like the same return. You talk to somebody, it's nice to be able to be comfortable with them and talk. So if anybody came up to me, I'm the same way. I like to be nice and talk and just pick their brain too and kind of get a feel of what they think about stuff.
Yeah. Couple of notes before we cut you loose, Jared. It just the feed is funny watching on the Facebook thing where people are commenting. Like for one thing, Johnny Torres is realizing he's old. He said, "Now I'm an old guy." Yeah, damn. Now I'm an older guy. So
No, he's definitely an older guy.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he definitely is. And then Lawrence checks in. He said that car is actually a bomber, the car that he won in out there, and he did get a haircut. So that's a really good. That's good. That's really good. So rest of the season for you. I mean, is it going to be Edna in South Texas? Any plans to venture out and do stuff? I mean, I know from down there in the Rio Grande Valley, man, it's a hell of a haul to get anywhere.
Yeah, I know Corpus, I believe, has got 2 more races left, so we'll definitely wrap the season up there. We'll hit up Edna every time they race, and with these later months coming up,
yeah,
we'd love to hit up some big shows. I'm sure 37 is going to have a big show, which we'd love to get over, especially in the modified. I want to drive the modified any chance I get.
Yeah.
But any free weekend that doesn't overlap Corpus or Edna, we definitely like to adventure out. I know Skip's pumped. Car's been good this year, and I feel like we're in a good situation to venture out and give other people a run for their money and see what else is out there. Because I know there's some awesome tracks out there that we just haven't been able to get to. Mm-hmm. And this year might be the year we get out there and venture out.
Yeah, absolutely. I know when I'm out at the Cotton Bowl, I'd love to see you out there, man. I think 16, 17 modifieds the other day. So like you said, it's really good to see the resurgence there. I mean, we got to have those modifieds, man. That's what it's all about. I mean, factory stocks are cool and the limited modifieds are great, but when it comes down to it, those modifieds, man, that's the ballsy ones right there.
Yeah, modifieds are great. It's really fun. Buddy Cody Leonard and Marcus Maklicek, they both got mods this year. Cody's always been in a mod. So me and Marcus finally got into a mod this year. So it's fun to go out there and race your buddies and, and learn every race. But since these IMCA mods are making a comeback, it seems like it's exciting to go and race against out-of-town guys, that have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Jared, this has been great, man. Love the success, and I love that you keep carrying that Moppin name and keep doing it from the valley down there, man. Like I said, you guys are so underrated, whether it be Corpus or down there in McAllen. Good to see the success, man. Totally proud of what you guys are doing.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Check in anytime, man. Love to help you any way that we could.
Absolutely.
All right, buddy. Take care.
You too. Thanks,
right.
guys.
There he is, Jared Moppin. And like we said, that Corpus, and I do tie Corpus into McAllen and Edinburgh and everything down there. But I know it's a lot of difference between the two. But man, those guys are just so good, and people don't give them the credit that they deserve down there.
I mean, they a lot of them do fly underneath the radar, especially, as you said, there's all these second and third generation kids that are now racing. And we say kids, hell, we're both getting older. So we're talking, anywhere from 17 on up to their, mid 20s there. The second and third generation drivers that are coming up that are continuing those family legacies down there. There's a lot of, you could write a book about Texas racing history just from Corpus and the Valley and not even not even get up into San Antonio.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? I mean, I know that as we started out the show here with Revved Up, we talked, we talked to Yeomans and Labonte and all of those guys. I mean, that was just CC Speedway, but I mean, a lot of these guys, and we were talking about this the other night at Cotton Bowl, where folks are able to transition, whether it be from asphalt to dirt or vice versa. I mean, because you see guys. Casey Roderick won a dirt race the other night. Where he jumps in one of Toby's cars and wins there. But Corpus and the Valley have been really good about that. Where I think all of those years, and I still say where Corpus was so far ahead of the rest of us was at Corpus for all of those years. Bobby, they had CC and they had Riverside or what is now South Texas. There was an asphalt and a dirt track there. So I think that's where they were so damn good, where San Antonio had Texas dirt for a very short time. Austin area has never had anything till now, but they never been able to have both, and Corpus did it for a long ass time.
Yeah, no, the guys in Corpus have just always been up on another level. And that's great to see that the legacy still lives on. And who knows, maybe we'll get another asphalt track up in San Antonio or Austin. Hopefully, it'd be right there, kind of in the heart of where Central Texas Speedway used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully something will fall into place right there. But you got to hand it to him. And I actually saw, and I think we heard the story on here. Slick told the story where that car had gotten beat up so bad in Austin where they turned it into a dirt car. And I finally did locate pictures of Slick Yeoman's late model as a dirt late model, and hell, he was good that night too. So I mean, it's been happening forever.
I think that was the one he was talking about with the T-post, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Where they had to go in and straighten that car out with the T-post.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But fun stuff right there. Listening to Jared Moppin, and like he kind of downplayed it a little bit there, but I mean you go to a track and you win a modified feature and a sport mod feature on the same night. I mean, that's pretty damn cool. I don't care what track it is.
That's pretty impressive, right? Especially with the way that he talked about those two cars driving differently, that you'll be able to adjust in one night but still find a way to win both classes. That is pretty damn cool, pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, very much so. And we are seeing that resurgence there with the modifieds. I mean, where they're bringing those cars back, and you need that class. I know that cost is always an issue, and I mean that's with anything. I mean, cost is going to be something that factors in, and the modifieds aren't cheap. I mean, hell, none of them are. But to see that happening, it's just a really good thing. Speaking of cost, boy, I love how these transitions just work out every now and then. Really, really good. We're going to talk to somebody that knows a lot about what it costs, not so much to be on the track, but to operate this damn thing, for crying out loud. We're going to the lady in charge of the Texas Short Track Racing Series. It's NASCARHouston.com. She's got a race coming up this Saturday, August the 15th, the Short Track Showdown presented by Advance Auto Parts. It is our friend Gina Shile Knowles. G, how are you?
Hey, Rodney, I'm good. How are you?
We're doing well, trying to survive triple digits down here. How's triple digits over there the last 5 or 6 days in the humidity?
Yes. It is horrible.
Yeah.
You forget, and you walk outside, and it's like, it just hits you. You're like, what is this?
Yeah. It's a slap in the face.
Yes, for sure. Not fun.
Nope.
All right, Gina, so nice to have you back on the show. Good to talk to you like always. So I know it's been a while since you had a chance to get races that were almost back-to-back like we're having on the 1st and the 15th here, but I know from sitting in the stands and sitting up in the tower you could feel the momentum building. Has that been the same thing for you this week since the races have actually got to be so close together? Have you felt the momentum of the racetrack building and the racers getting really excited?
Yes, I have. I'm nervous to get too excited because, it's like you hear the news and you just get scared of someone pulling the rug out from underneath you. So We're fixing to hit a stretch of racing every 2 weeks and a couple of them back to back. So I'm excited to just go through these weeks and get some racing done and get our season, over with, and everyone not sick and home safe, and looking forward to next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's waddle our way through 2020. Gina,
that's exactly what it is.
Right, absolutely. Gina, let me ask you, and I know you and I, some of these things that I'll ask you, I mean, hell, I know the answer because we talk every day. But we were talking on the program when we first started. Our friends out at South Texas Speedway, they've had to cut their limited late model division just due to lack of. They've been struggling 3 years with it. Explain to folks how hard it is. I mean, you have to validate, whether it be purses, whatever it may be, you have to have cars in these divisions.
Yeah, it's super hard to do. It's really something that weighs heavily on me when I try to figure things out. First of all, if we lose any car count in a class that has such a small car count, it's a huge blow, and you just can't put 4 or 5 cars on the track. It's kind of kills the show. But the racer side of me, I don't want to tell guys they don't have anywhere to race, especially when we're the only asphalt track in Texas. But additionally, they don't have anything to sell. And it is a constant struggle. This year, our purse, we don't have a great purse, so we lost a couple of the super stock guys, and that kind of took that class down under a viable car count. And I talked to, John Wynn took it over, and he said, look, I'll see what I can do. And he's kind of breathing a little bit of life in it, and I hope it works. But I'm trying to figure out some new avenues. We've got some really cool things and people we're talking to for a new program. I just don't know where it's going to land. And again, it is just a struggle to do that to a class. I mean, how long did that class struggle? It was a limited late model.
Yeah, yeah, he said for 3 years they've been trying to, go back and forth, and they get, it's the benefit of the doubt. Like we were talking, Gina, before you came on, I said, I'm sure right now that the class has been canceled, everybody's ready. But I mean, how often do we hear that?
Exactly. And and when I took it off the schedule, and then I had a lot of comments, and then it is just the place we are in right now. I think in racing in general, I'll speak for HMP and where we're at. There's no solid numbers to look at. You don't know what's going to come to the track as far as racers go, as far as fans go. There are so many ifs, ands, and buts. You don't want to make a drastic call on anything because it might be a viable option next season. But when you look at the overall big picture, we're trying to run. There's 9 classes of cars, 9 that want to race at HMP. 9. 2 of them are sanctioned classes that run out of Dallas that they couldn't get it together for this year. And it's very, very hard to schedule that many classes. Heck, we do 7. We've done 7 and had a great show and finished at 9:30. But the backside of that, we're crazy. Everybody there works. It's a nightmare. Yeah. Well, it looks great, but afterwards you're like, no, we're not going to have this many classes. But yet when you cut the schedule, everybody kind of gets their feelings hurt, and then you feel bad and you want to try to figure out how to save it. And sometimes you just can't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
There's a lot of different directions with the super stocks and with potentially factory stocks or other things we're looking at. There's so many possibilities. I just don't know what is going to come together. One day something will look like it's going to piece together, and then I get a phone call and it starts swaying in a different direction. So I'm exploring all kinds of options because I don't want to put anyone out of a ride. If we have to get rid of a class, I need a clear understanding of how to help transition those racers into another class. Because that's what I would want to do. If I tell someone, no, we're not going to run your class anymore because car count isn't there, what options do you have? And I need help, from like Denny and Bo. I said, if we're going to cut these guys, I want to help them transition into another class.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to do and it sounds impossible. Everyone says you just can't do that. Well, I don't believe that. If we can lay out some kind of a clear transition, and let's try to streamline things, a little bit better for everybody.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, not a fun place to be, and it's just crazy. You never know. It's crazy time right now.
It is.
It is, definitely. But we've got a great momentum. We're fixing to go into a home stretch. We've got some big races coming up. I appreciate all the racers that are hanging in there with our base purse because, man, I'm going at it and adding stuff to it as much as possible. And we're fixing to have some big ones come up here, money races. We still have
right.
a couple of big announcements we hadn't made because we're still signing the dotted line on those.
Nice.
Yep, I'm excited.
Yeah, Gina, the Facebook feed has always been, when we talk about factory stocks, everybody's like, get them to Houston, get them to Houston. We're like, just chill out, everybody, just chill out. Now the Facebook feed's getting all excited because they actually heard you mention factory stocks and HMP at the same time with the short track racing series. So hopefully that's something that can come together sooner rather than later. But talk about some of the exciting stuff that you just mentioned it briefly. The exciting stuff coming up for this weekend. I know that there's going to be, everybody seems to be excited to get ready to go back to the track.
Oh, I'm definitely excited to get back to the track and get into a routine. We have the flyovers coming again with the commemorative Air Force. We're running basically all of our regular classes except for NASCAR. NASCAR are taking some time off. I think those guys are working a whole lot.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a good show. I'm excited about it, and more excited about going into September. September's going to be a lot of fun. Big money up in September. That's what I'm looking forward to in September.
Yeah. That is going to be a great month. And Gina, I apologize because I'm the one that ran my fat mouth about this whole factory stock and getting them moved over. And I mean, I love how you say, it's like, okay, if you have an idea, run with it. And of course, I run with it with my mouth, which is, but I think it's a viable option. And I've talked to some folks.
You know that I think it's a viable option too. I've talked to 10 people, and I've got a book of notes, let me tell you, on factory stock class. And it's split straight down the middle.
Yeah.
5 people say it's doable and it's hugely viable and it'll be big, and 5 people say no way.
Yeah.
So what do? You're looking at it going, gosh, and then, we've got some side things going on to add to it, different programs, and you just have to make a wise decision because the last thing I want to do is to create another class and end up with a diluted race show again with a bunch of classes and a bunch of guys that want to race.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's so hard. I mean, it's so hard. But let's talk about it, and I do want to talk about September because I have those numbers. And if you go to the Texas Short Track Racing Series Facebook page, I did a thing. I don't remember when it was that I did that, but these days all run together. Okay, yeah, about September. So let's talk about the Outlaws. I mean, the Outlaws, I think a lot of people, we've talked about the super stocks, how hard it is to make that happen. To me, the super stocks are established, and I know that those cars are there. But the Outlaws, I mean, I really think, and I think you think the same way, pardon me if I'm speaking for you, but we really have to hang our hopes on those because that's a different breed. But it's a new class. I mean, it's a very new class.
It is, and honestly, if you look at the trends, it's a strong class at tracks that, of course, we feed and they feed us, and vice versa. So I think it's really, honestly, I think for that class to grow, and I talked to Tim for a long time the other day. For that class to grow, I think there's going to have to be a little bit of help. And a little bit of collaborating between some tracks. So I think that maybe we have some good things that we're thinking about and talking about on that class to try to help that, because it is really, it's all we have that's the closest thing to a late model. And it is, I can't imagine. Can you imagine if we had like 20 of those suckers out on that track? How cool that would be.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that would be pretty awesome. But I don't know. It's hard to keep your finger on the pulse of that class too. It's really hard to judge any class that has no history or doesn't have a long history right now because of COVID. You just don't know. I heard that there's 3 Outlaws being built. Whether that's true, I don't know, but I heard that. So
yeah.
You just never know.
Yeah, let's hope so. So.
Definitely.
No doubt.
You guys got me excited about September. Is it too early to talk about September, or do we only want to concentrate on the cool stuff that's coming up this weekend?
Oh, it's out there.
Yeah, we have a couple more to be announced, but those are, like I said, we haven't signed the dotted line on those. But this weekend, I'm excited to just get back to a regular racing weekend. There's a lot of things that we wanted to do. The last race that we couldn't do because it literally poured down rain until 3:00, and so we just kind of had to resort to plan. At some point in the rain, you have to say, okay, we're not doing it this way. Everyone's going to draw, and this is how we're going to do it. And it became making it through the evening. Mm-hmm. Type thing. So this next race, I'm excited to have a pretty day and a day of racing and new processes that we're kind of implementing and on the backside. So
yeah.
A lot of positive things. I'm just ready to get another race under our belt.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. It's kind of like it's like sports. I mean, practice, you get better, and the races continue to help that. We'll talk about September. I'll ask you about that in a second. I've got all of that in front of me, as a matter of fact. But I know we've got some of our friends checking in. We talk about outlaws and super stocks and modifieds and trucks, but you're rock solid. I mean, when you talk about the foundation of building anything, your eco stocks out there, you've got some people there that, I mean, they'd walk on charcoal out there for you with your eco stocks. That's one hell of a class right there.
They are. They really, really are. You know, those guys were hungry, I think, for a little bit of attention, and I don't think they had gotten it. And honestly, that, to me, for marketing, that is the class that the fans identify with. It looks like a car they all can relate, and they have the claim rule, and essentially tells someone sitting there how much it could cost me to get out there and race. And we have one that we built, and we're going to put that the DJ in it in September.
Sweet. And
might be just kind of an open ride type thing. We've got a lot of fun things planned around it. It was going to be a great, even bigger year for them, but then COVID kind of diluted that impact. But man, those guys are ready to race. They're a good bunch of guys. They do a lot of good promoting. I mean, those guys go and promote themselves. They go to events. They take their cars to restaurants in their local communities. They interact with charities. They support veterans. I mean, honestly, they work. They work their butt off, and it's a lot of work to load your car up and take it somewhere and unload it and do an event and load it back up and take it back home. And it shows. It shows what, if you put in to your class or your racing program or whatever, that's the result, is what they're experiencing, what the payoff is when you do that, because it does work.
Sure as hell does.
Yep.
And I'm getting excited about the eco stocks.
Yeah.
Even I'm going to try to get into one before the year's over.
Well, wait till you see the one we have. It's pretty cool. It's a PT Cruiser with suicide doors and has flames going down it.
Nice.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Gina, let me ask you. Sorry, Bobby. I want to ask her this before we get done. I know. There are so many things. We have watched through everything that has happened, and of course the racetrack, and I'll say we aligned ourselves with NASCAR this year, which you and I talked back in January. I mean, just that name by itself, but that name has been tied to a lot of controversy, and I see folks that have swore off. I mean, folks need to understand that NASCAR versus the NASCAR Roots, Advanced Auto Parts Weekly series, what's happening out there, man, draw a line there, because I hate to see people posting on your page their dissatisfaction with, and this is all, the Bubba Wallace stuff. I mean, just kind of your thoughts as a promoter when you see that. I mean, how to explain that to people where it's like, okay, we're talking about two different things here, but actually the same thing.
Right. I mean, I try to explain it every single time I can. If I see a comment, I don't want to be negative, because at some point you feel like you become the negative person trying to deflect all of that negativity. But bottom line is, our guys, we all know what our guys do. They're local racers. They don't get the big bucks. They work for a living to do what they love to do. They have a passion. They have a drive. their whole family is part of it. So it does get frustrating, especially it's frustrating to me, especially when it is old school racers that I've known, my whole life, or not necessarily racers, but racing people that make that negative comment. And that's when I'll kind of lay it out and kind of get them in check, because it's easy to get mad at NASCAR. Heck, I get mad at them.
Sure.
I mean, I really do. Of course, I'm frustrated because guess what? We bit off a big old piece of pie, and it's a little bit salty instead of sweet, you know.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It'll come back around. It is our sport that we all know and love. Everybody makes mistakes. It's a crazy time. Things are not as normal, and we just got to ride the wave. If we keep the positive, if we try to have a positive attitude and a positive outlook, it helps us move past it and move forward. And I think for the most part, we have been doing that, and we've been successful at it. It just gets hard. It gets hard when times get tough. It gets hard when the money's tight. It gets hard when you're in the grind and doing it every day, to not be negative. But you got to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And you got to look past it.
Well said. You explained that a lot better than I did. I just said it pisses me off, and you explained that.
It does.
Love it.
It does.
Love it. Sorry to jump ahead of you there, Bobby. I had to ask that.
No, that's okay. I was working on the eco stock deal in the Facebook comments, so y'all good to go on that deal. So, but no, Gina, I just think it's great. One of the things that I love about working with you in the program and all of that is that everybody seems, I say most everybody seems to be on board with the stuff that you do and try to support everything that you're doing. Every time we talk about H&P and the short track racing series here on our show, it seems like the Facebook feed gets lit up with, we love Gina, we support Gina, we try to do everything we can for her. And I think from a promoter's perspective, that's got to be pretty cool, even though you have all the issues of which classes to run and who wants to run and stuff like that. It's got to be pretty cool to be able to see that you still have a good solid army behind you that's trying to get to the same place at the same time with you.
It's really all you got to hold on to be perfectly honest, Bobby. Sometimes, when you're not making money and you're not profitable, but you're moving and you're able to maneuver and make choices and still, get to the next show to make it through this year. That's really those things like that are what helps everything. For me, it's very humbling because honestly, it's a team of people that does everything. And if it wasn't for, everyone that we have put together, there's no way it would work. And if it wasn't for the racers hanging in there and bringing it and racing and being a part of, contributing their part, it's everyone doing what they need to do to survive, make it through this thing. It really, really is. And it's falling together. And it's keeping that positive outlook, no matter how shitty of a day you have. Keeping that positive outlook and waking up and saying, all right, new day, we're still going to do this, we're going to get past it. That is what keeps us going. And it's just racing. I mean, I think for me, Texas racing as a whole, the dirt tracks, everything, I can see a positive momentum in all of it. And it's a positive in a really, really crappy time.
Right.
A really, really crappy time for racing as a whole. It's not like we just said. It's just not it's not the norm that we are used to, but yet it's still, thriving. I think as a whole, in general, as a whole, it's still thriving. Yeah.
I mean,
that says a lot. The best thing about Texas racing is we're just like anything else, Texas, man, we can stand alone. Texas is a big ass state. We have a lot of damn good racers, whether it's on dirt or asphalt. We got a lot of our own Texas famous people here. I think we're probably a little stronger for the first time in a long time. Texas racing is stronger than a lot of other places. I mean, look at poor Bowman Gray. Hell, their whole season done.
Yeah.
I mean, that blows me away.
Yeah, and I was actually talking to some pretty powerful people at the end of last week. Somehow I got roped into a conversation, and they were talking about, heard there's only one pavement track in Texas, and a very powerful person actually said, well, that's all you need. You just need one, and I think that's what we need to remember. And of course, dirt is doing well, but for pavement, Gina, how important is it for you? And you mentioned Tim Bryant, and Tim Bryant just does such a great job there with. Man, if there's a memoir to get from him to figure out what he's done at Five Flags and the Southern Super Series, how important is it for you to be able to line up? We talk about Outlaws and all this, but moving forward to become a part of that southeastern belt of Mississippi, Alabama, Florida. I think that's a really good thing for you and for Texas.
Definitely. Honestly, that should have been done a long time ago. I'd never understood why that didn't work.
Amen.
Why those ties weren't doing, but that is definitely what I am working toward. I would love nothing more than to have something regular that that we do, whether it's a 2-race thing every year or a points fund or something that brings it all together. That help that, because honestly, that it just helps all of us as a whole.
It does, and that's what
definitely.
That's what I mean. I'll tell you who it was. It was Travis Braden. The Snowball Derby winner. He's like, to have a footprint in Texas for super late models and pro late models would be amazing. That's all we need. That's what we need.
Well, that's what we're working on, and that's what racers. I know there's with the super stocks and some purse issues and how you got to be able to afford. I want people to understand that the value that we have here, it takes a while to build, and
right.
As this racing series, as Texas racing here on asphalt gets a value added to it, this is what racers need to sell or learn how to sell. If our value goes up, your sponsorship dollars or potential sponsorship dollars go up. When I have signs all over that track, and I'm going to remind racers of this because they forget, I offered those signs to every racer out there at my cost. You can sell it for whatever you want. Here's what I sell it at. Here's what I sell it for. Here's what my cost is. And it's a fraction. And you can pocket the rest.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put the signs up. 3 racers took advantage of that. Only 3.
2
of those racers, I put the package together and helped them sell them. This is the value the purse is not the greatest, but I'm going to make up the difference, busting my ass for you and building this program in a way that there's value and there's a lot to sell. It's a huge value to having Advanced Auto Parts as our sponsor. Like I said, go to the stores, go to the retail stores, look at all those products, and there's a shit ton of products in there. Write them down, flip over the bottles. Who's on the back? Where are they at? Call that company and say, we race in a track that is sponsored by Advanced Auto Parts. I saw your product in the store. You were on the bottom shelf.
Yeah.
How can I help you get to the middle shelf? How can I help you get to the top? There's a lot of different things. That is what we have to kind of go, okay, here's the value till we get to a point to where, because when we do get into a better position and in a more predictable time, that person, I'm going to make damn sure that person's good. Because I know that's what we need. And we'll get there. But right now, I'm selling it individually, trying to sell out races, trying to add to the purse. We've got people adding to the purse just because they love racing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's what's going to carry us through. But take advantage of all of the positive things we have. NASCAR, whether or not, you like NASCAR or not, it's a brand.
We're local.
It's a publicly traded company that's part of your series. Advanced Auto Parts, part of your series. CarQuest. You have a lot of good things that raise all the racers' value. Every single one of them.
Yeah. Gina, I was talking to a guy Saturday night at the dirt track, and he said, we were having a discussion, and he said, people bitch about the IMCA, but if you get in a pinch, and I know this is the same thing with NASCAR, if you get in a pinch, you can't figure something out. It doesn't matter when it is. There's a contact that you get a hold of, and they straighten it all out for you. And that's the beauty of having that amazing sanctioning.
Yep, that's very true. And I've been utilizing that avenue a lot here lately on some things I have to have done at the racetrack. H&P is definitely on their radar. We are in Texas where there's nothing NASCAR except for Dallas, a super speedway.
Yep.
So to have a short track presence for them in Texas is hugely beneficial. And additionally, it's in what, are we the third largest city now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, I mean, that's not small compared to NASCAR either.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a win-win. And right now, with NASCAR going through what they're going through, I feel like it's the short tracks, the local short tracks, that are going to bring them back, to life. I really, really do. I think that they realize that they kind of need to lean on us a little bit now, because they're not making some wise moves on the, on the big forefront.
Yeah,
so I think the local, there's a lot of growth here right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Possibilities. I'll say there's a lot of possibilities of it.
Right.
See, I got nothing. Like, I can't follow up with all that positive.
That was hard.
Like,
yeah, that's
it's hard to follow. Thanks, Sheena. That was really hard to follow up on. Thank you.
But I can tell you. So obviously we have the 15th that is coming up. But seriously, let's talk about Gina, I sent that to you. I think it would be a good idea. September, big dollar September with a $S or whatever I sent you. I don't remember what that was, but September 5th, you've already got this figured out. I mean, the trucks are off. The modifieds are getting $1,000. The ecos are getting $500. September 12th, I really think that September 12th could be the biggest, most important evening in short track racing, asphalt wise, for Texas in a long time. Trucks 3,000 to win. Second place 1,000 bones. Modifieds 2,000. Ecos 500. Ecos get 500 on September 5th, and that's I like what you've done there. You took the success of the Ecos and went and sold that shit.
Well, I can tell you this: Advance wanted everything on to win, and I was like, wait a minute, I can't put 5,000 to win on the trucks, right?
Wow, no.
That really was like, no, we got to backpedal just a little bit here. But I will say this: that's going to be a big race. September 12th is going to be a big race because a lot of people from Advance will be there, and some other people from Advance that we've never had, and then NASCAR execs will possibly be present as well. If things keep getting more positive or coming out lifted, COVID slows down, that is going to be the big race for everyone to come to, and we're going to showcase everything there.
Yeah, no doubt. Looking forward to that one.
I think that they're going to really be impressed with our track. I mean, just the track in general, the facilities. I'm excited for them to see it again.
Yeah, I agree.
In years.
Yeah, been a long time.
Yes, I remember getting in trouble from one of the NASCAR officials for a $1 beer toast I did to the grandstands because nobody told me there was a NASCAR official downstairs on $1 beer nights. So yes, it's always great when the NASCAR officials come, though. I'm not saying it's a bad thing that I got a little hand slap on that, but it's good. It's good to see the good things you're doing, Danner, Gina. I know every time I see you, I tell you that you're doing a good job, and I mean it because every day that racetrack is open. That. Every day that racetrack is open, that means you're doing a damn good job. It's better than some could do. So we appreciate, even though we're involved with it, pretty in depth here on the show. We do appreciate everything that you've been doing for Texas racing, especially on the asphalt side.
Well, thank you, Bobby. I tell you again, it's a team of people. I swear, I am not afraid to call people. I'm not afraid to ask for help. I'm not afraid to ask for input. And when I do, I usually do it with multiple people and write it down and really apply what I think about it and my experience as a racer or a wife of a racer or, mom of a racer or granddaughter, daughter, whatever. It helps to get everyone's input, and it helps to have a team of people who know a lot about racing. I haven't sat down and added up the years of experience that we have between us at the track and everybody, but I would venture to say it's a lot.
we probably don't want to know. But
there's a lot.
We probably don't want to know. So again, so this weekend you've got the race on the 15th. Dollar beer, dollar dogs. First 25 people in get the advanced masks. Friday night practice. Quickly hit on that. So it's back to that this weekend for these guys and ladies.
Right. It's Friday, and it looks like we might hit our 10. We've already had 4 booked. We'll have early practice if we have at least 10 people. That's the track requirement. And it'll be open from noon. I think we said until 9:30 is what we're going. Okay. And after 6, it drops to the 50. It's $100 per team, before 6 p.m. After 6 p.m. it drops to $50 per car, $15 a person, with ladies and children free.
Nice. And of course,
Yeah.
folks can go Holiday Inn JFK, the newly remodeled Holiday Inn JFK. I'd like to say, pretty sweet digs right there. Go down there, get that Racers discount, and I think it's going to be a fun weekend. And I echo what Bobby says, Gina. You have saved this, and you're building this again, and proud to be a part of it. And just thanks for giving a damn about it. That's the main thing.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for your support. Thanks for helping me get messages out, because communicating to racers is so super hard. They all do it a different way, and there's a lot of them. So thank you guys. I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. Looking forward to a great weekend. We will talk to you soon, and let's go kick some asphalt.
That sounds good to me. I'll see y'all Saturday.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye, guys.
You bet.
Bye,
Take care. There's Gina. And I'll tell you what, when you get a promoter that comes on and says ass, shit, you know you got a good one. And oh, by the way, it's a lady.
Hey, man, we love her for what she does, right?
And I'll tell you, she's just working so hard. And what you have to appreciate about her is that she definitely does listen. But, you know, decisions, I mean, she makes them. I mean, she makes those hard decisions. I mean, the Superstock thing, the Superstock thing, that killed her the last time. She didn't want to let those guys, you know, it wasn't, I mean, she wanted them to be able to run, but, I mean, it didn't justify when, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Bobby, you got a class of 7, and hell, 3 of them say they're not coming. I mean, I love for them to get to come out to race, but hell, a 3-car race, 4-car race, 3.5-car race, I mean,
that don't do anybody any good.
What is that? I mean, that's and Bobby, you know how this is. I was talking to some people the other night. I mean, the attention span of I mean, we people that have done this for a long time, our racing attention span is this long because we're just used to doing what we do. But the new fan that comes in, whatever it may be, you've got this long to keep them entertained, and when you lose them, it's tough and it's hard to recapture them. And if you lose them, they're not going to tell anybody what you're doing. And you know, there's only X amount of regular people, regular fans, which we love. There's only X amount of regular fans that keep coming all the time that you can count on. At some point, you got to get some new people in, and that's what she's trying to do.
It's the same thing with racers, right? We've seen it. You have your certain number of racers that you know are going to come, and they're going to show up at every single race. They're like clockwork, right? Unless there's some kind of dire family emergency, those guys would be there, and a couple of their crew guys every single race. And it's the same thing with fans. We have some fans that we recognize that we know. They know us by first name. They remember more of our stuff that we put on Facebook than we do, right? And so it's great to have those fans. But you're right. We always need to reach out. Always need to continue to build the brand. There's no difference between building the brand here at the show versus building the brand with the racetrack. It's trying to get nothing but positive vibes and good growth out of it, and that's the way that you keep the doors open.
Yeah, and what I like about, I mean, you've got two different situations there. We were talking to Jared Maupin earlier, talking about the resurgence of the modifieds and the growth of the factory stocks and just everything that Dirt has been doing here lately in Texas, and I mean around the country. But you know, it's so heartbreaking when we talk to our friends over in Wisconsin and up north, and they're talking about all these racetracks, paved tracks, and you know, we don't have them. But like we were saying, we just have one. We just have one, and that's what we need. We just need one. But we've got opposite ends of the spectrum right now because we've got dirt's about to hit what asphalt hit back in the early to mid 2000s, where there are so many, and it's going to be so hard to keep everyone happy. And you know, folks will start to where dirt's at an advantage to where we were back on the pavement side back when all of this happened to us. Is dirt doesn't really have an option. I mean, the option is don't race or get an asphalt car, which it's expensive. But we've got dirt trying to keep the momentum, and we've got asphalt trying to build. So there's two different dynamics, and it's good to be a part of both of them because I think with the size of the state and the amount of racers and the amount of fans and everything, I think we're going to be just fine.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think it's just a little bit more momentum coming in. Speaking of momentum, sorry, I'm trying to work out this eco stock thing right in the middle of the show. That's when I make my best. deals is right when I'm trying to multitask here.
They are working on something really, really cool there that he was talking about with Gina. I think that'll be something that folks would really like when it comes to all of that. So we'll hopefully have some details once we get all of that firmed up. But great program. I mean, Jared Maupin, talking about the McAllen Day. So I think this is actually the first boots on the ground reference that we've had to Rio Grande Speedway, where we've actually had someone from there that talked about that. And that's a young dude, and he still remembers going out there back for those Miller Nationals. That's pretty cool. That's back when there were only modifieds, nothing else.
And there was a ton of them too. I remember that. I've only been to one Miller Nationals, but now that I remember it, it was basically the Snowball Derby of dirt modifieds. I mean, they were coming from as far north as Canada to try to race down there, because that was where all the big dogs came to play, was down there at the Valley.
It was. I'm going to dig out, because I think they'll fit me now. I'm going to dig out. I've got some Miller National shirts in a drawer somewhere. Maybe I'll wear one next week, because they had really, really cool shirts down there for those events. So I'll dig those out. Those are pretty cool. Great show, man. Bobby Maupin is the real deal. Another one of those South Texas guys, man. They're just so competitive and flying under the radar, like we keep talking about.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. We like having the South Texas guys on to talk about it.
Absolutely, and good stuff from Gina. Get your ass out to Houston Motorsports Park Saturday, August 15th. It's going to be fun. They're going to have a great racing program there. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's nice to get the momentum built up for a couple of weeks back to back here as we get ready to fire up for big money September.
Absolutely. It's going to be good. For Bobby, I'm Rodney. Remember, friends, be nice to someone. You never know what they're going through. You're going to feel better as well afterwards. We're back next Monday. We'll break it all down. Enjoy your week. Be safe. Wear a mask if you need to. And take care. This is Russ from Texas.
This is Real Race Talk from Texas. It's the Revved Up